So I've just come to a favourite spot. It's somewhere that I've taught before and know quite well. It's also private, which makes a difference to what I'm about to show you, because I have permission to do what I'm about to do, and that's quite important. So I don't come here often in the spring or early summer because it's an autumn mushroom spot. But there's a few things that I wanted to check, and as I came in, I noticed these, and I've been meaning to show you these for a while. But because you need to have permission, essentially, the things that I've showed you so far are all absolutely fine to pick in the UK, because they are flowers, foliage, fungi or fruit. And all of those, as long as you're on land you're allowed to be on, are fine for you to pick, and they're wild. The exception to picking things and foraging freely is digging things up, and we're not allowed in the UK, it's really struggling again, to uproot plants without permission from the landowner. Obviously these rules and laws will be different depending on where you come from, so just be aware of what they are where you are. But having seen these here today and knowing that we can show you, I wanted to do a little ID video. So they're Apiaceae, which you can probably tell, but they're much smaller than most. I mean, they can grow a little bigger than that, but these are, oh, I keep forgetting I can't go sideways. These are only like half a foot, maybe a little bit more tall, and they've got these beautiful little tiny umbels of white flowers. I can't even get a close-up to show you the flower themselves because they're so small. But the leaves are what I find most distinctive about these, and they're very frondy, almost like fennel, but fennel is much fuller and fluffier and bigger. And these are just delicate with just one or two very fine, kind of narrow leaves. Very, very deeply lobed leaves are what these would be called, I guess, but they look like almost like needles. They're very fine. I can show you here, this is a basal leaf of the same plant, so this is a young one that hasn't flowered, and they are slightly fuller when they're young, like that, and they become narrower and pointier and slimmer as they grow up the plant, which is true of a lot of Apiaceae. So you'll often see much more kind of narrow, delicate looking leaves on Anthicrocata, for example, near the top of the plant than you would near the bottom, where they're much fuller and flatter and look like coriander leaves or something. And yeah, they really aren't very difficult to identify. As you can see, there's no kind of rays and things coming off the flowers at the back. Rays is the wrong word, I forget the word I'm looking for, but they don't have any kind of massively distinctive feature, but they are so delicate and so small that's kind of, the stature of them is quite distinctive on its own. And what I'm about to show you, I started digging one up just so that I could see that it was close to the surface because I don't have a tool with me. So this is the plant, and you go around the bottom, and you can often do this with a little stick, but sometimes they're much deeper and harder to find than others. And you can see just below the surface, the stem of this plant goes sideways, so often at about 90 degrees, obviously a bit more curved, but it ends up at 90 degrees. And after it's done that, you can see this root part. Now I'm going to try and get it out intact to show you. There we go, look at that. So this root part is at the end of that 90 degrees, and sometimes, as I say, these are much deeper and it's a bit more convoluted trying to get them out. But if we clean this up a little, I'm going to take it off the stem now just because it's a bit awkward to clean. It's got a kind of brownish skin on the outside, but if you scrape that off, what you've got underneath, and they're sometimes more rounded, but often they're kind of knobbly like this, is a pignut. And it's a tuber, an Apiaceae tuber, and it's absolutely delicious. And they're a bit of a faff to find, and obviously in the UK you can't just go digging them up in your local forest or park without permission. But if you happened to have these on your land, or a friend did, they tend to grow like these are. Just there's loads of them. They're in a great big patch, all behind me as well. Don't know if you can see that or not. But there's an awful lot of them in one place often. There we go. Going all the way up that way, and then down this way as well. Lots and lots of the same thing, even over here. And they grow in these great big patches. So if you had lots of them on your land, especially if you were going to be kind of cutting or pulling them out anyway, they are absolutely delicious. We have often, when I've taught on kind of bushcraft places or campsites and places like that, had meals where we've cooked them, because there's just been so many on the land, and the people who own it aren't bothered by them at all. They are quite plentiful. They are quite a common wild thing, so it's not a great concern to be uprooting them. Just leave a few to carry on doing their reproductive thing. I hope that was interesting. I really enjoy these, so I'm going to take a couple to eat. And yeah, do press like and subscribe. It really, really helps me grow the channel and turn this into more of a useful educational tool. You can now buy me a coffee. The link will be underneath in the description, if you want to tip me for the work I'm already doing. And I'm teaching courses, so if you're local to me, do feel free. That's Sussex, UK. Do feel free to ping me a message or comment below if you'd like to book onto one of our courses. And enjoy your foraging.